Lesson 16.5, Volume of Composite Figures. All right, so we have already learned how to figure out the volume of rectangular prisms. We are going to move on now to figuring out the volume of composite figures. What in the world is a composite figure? A composite figure is a figure made from several similar shapes. Composite kind of means like put together. All right, so in this figure right here, we have a composite figure. It is a set of cabinets. So they are two very similar shapes. They're both rectangular and they are kind of put together. So if we wanted to figure out the volume, the amount of space that this figure takes up, we would need to figure out the volume of this composite figure. So we've got 4 steps to the left here that are going to explain how we are going to figure out the volume of a composite figure. So step number 1 says separate the shape into 2 rectangular prisms. So look at our cabinets. Can you tell kind of how you are going to separate them into 2 rectangular prisms? You can see that there's 2 of them. So step number 1 says separate the shape into 2 rectangular prisms. Check, we've done that. Step number 2, right here. Find the volume of the first prism. All right, so that we know how to do. We find out the volume right here. Length times width times height. So what is our length? I like to consider length left to right. Now remember, when you do length times width times height, you're just finding the 3 sides. It does not matter if you do width times height times length times width, because of the multiplication property, commutative property. It doesn't matter what order you put your factors in. But for the sake of being clear, let's look at the length. The length I like to consider as going left to right. So let's look at the length of this prism that I shaded in. From left to right, so from here to here, we want this length. Well, it doesn't give this length down here, but is there another spot on this rectangular prism that you can find the length? It's not there, it's not here, but look up here. It does give the length right here. It is 18 inches, all right? So let's go over to our box and let's put in 18 inches for the length. Okay, so now we've got 18 inches is our length. Now what about our width? I like to consider width from front to back. All right, so we're gonna look front to back, this dimension. It's not there, and it's not here. So if you look at this rectangular prism, there is no measurement for the width. This is where you need to kind of get creative and think, look at the whole composite figure. Is there any other measurement in the composite figure that would give you this width right here? Because it is all the same width. If you look all across this whole composite figure, all these widths are the same. This width is obviously the same as this width right here. They're the same, right? Same as here, same as here. They're all the same width. So let's look down here. This is also the same width. Do any of these have a measurement? Well, this one right here does, 14 inches. So if you can't find the width or the length or the height of the rectangular prism that you are doing, look at the whole composite figure and see if you can find another side that is the same and use that one. So for this one, for instance, we will use 14. Let's go ahead and put that over here into our formula. All right, so now we have 18 times 14. All we have left is the height. And thankfully, it gives us a really easy height right here of 30 inches. So let's put that in there. All right, so there we go. We have length times width times height for our first prism in our composite figure. So 18 times 14 times 30. And if you take that multiplied by each other, you are going to get 7,560 inches cubed. Remember, you have 1 dimension, 2 dimensions, so that would be area, that would be squared, but you have 3 dimensions, so that's going to be cubed. That's that little 3, that's after the inches. Inches cubed or cubic inches. Okay, good. So now we have already separated the shape. We found the 2 rectangular prisms. We found the volume of the first prism. We are on to step number 3, which says to find the volume of the next prism. Let's go ahead and do that. Oopsie, let's go back here. Okay, so length times width times height, right? Let's look at our second prism, which is going to be this one right here. And let's look at the length. Remember, length, I want to do left to right. So let's see, the length of it. Oh, there's no measurement here. There's no measurement here. But look right here. We can see the length is going to be 20 inches. So let's put that in. 20 inches. Okay, now we want the width, front to back. It's right there. 14 inches. Let's put that one in. And we want the height, which it gives us right here, right? We don't find it here, we don't find it here, but look back here, we can see it. So you're gonna need to check all of them and find out which one is labeled. So we've got 12 inches, let's put that one in. All right, we've got 20 times 14 times 12 will give us the volume of our second prism, which is 3,360 inches. All right, we did number 1. We found the volume of the first prism. We found the volume of the second prism. Now, we need to add the 2 together, right? To get the volume of the whole composite figure together. So add the 2 volumes together. So we've got 7,560 from the first one, 3,360 from the second one, and we add them together and we get our total volume of the cabinet, which is 10,920 inches cubed. All right? So really, our lesson today of figuring out composite figures is simply doing 2 problems from yesterday that you did of figuring out the volume of a rectangular prism. It's just as if we have 1, 2, and we just add them together for our composite figure. All right, so let's move on to the second way that we are going to figure out composite figure volume. Let's move on. Let's take a look at this composite figure. Really, it's a rectangular prism with a piece right here that is cut out of it. Do you see that piece right here? They just cut that piece out. All right, so how do we figure out the volume of a composite figure with a cutout? Let's look to the left in our box here. To find the volume of a prism with a cutout, step number 1, let's do this one. Find the volume of the whole prism. All right, so length times width times height. All right, so make sure we're looking at the whole prism. Let's look at the length. Length is left to right. So we can find left to right. We find that right here, 5 feet. Let's add that. Okay, next is width. Width, I like to do front to back. So the whole prism front to back is right here, 9 feet. Let's put that one over there in our formula. Great. Now we want to figure out the height. All right, so here's the height, and I don't see anything there. We can't use this height because it's not the height of the full prism. Let's go back here. Here we go. Here we can find the height of the full prism is 4 feet. So let's enter that. All right, and then we get our answer. 5 times 9 times 4 is 180 feet cubed. All right, so we figured out the volume of the whole prism. Now, step number 3 is to find the volume of the cutout, the missing piece. Let's find out the volume of that. So let's look at it. We've got length times width times height. What is the length of the cutout? The length right here is 3 feet. Let's put that in. There we go. The width from front to back of this cutout is right here. It's not labeled. Let's go over here. Up right here, we can see they did label it. It's 1 feet. And I did that wrong. I put the height first in my little PowerPoint here. So times height, which is 2 feet. You can see I did that wrong there. Well, I didn't do it wrong. I just did it not in the right order. So I did length times height times width. Will I get the same answer? Okay, let's check that. If I would have put 3 feet, which is the length, times the width, which is 1, times the height, which is 2, is 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6 feet cubed, the same as 3 times 1 times 2? Yes, 6 feet cubed. Okay, so I didn't do it in the right order, but you can see there how it doesn't really matter, even if you get that mixed up. I like to keep it in the right order for when things get a little bit more complicated. I like to keep my length, my width, my height. But you can see there that it's not really going to matter. So we've got the volume now of the whole rectangular prism, and we've got the volume of the cutout. What do we do with those? Step number 4, we subtract the full prism volume. Let me fix this. We subtract the cutout from the full prism volume. Okay, so we've got the whole prism minus what's cut out. That makes sense, right? If we want to find the volume of this composite figure, take the whole shape and subtract what you cut out of it. So there are our numbers entered in. We've got 180 feet cubed minus 6 feet cubed. That was the cutout. And we get 174 feet cubed. All right, let's get rid of this here. That was from the last problem. 174 feet cubed. That's our volume of this composite figure. Okay, so just to wrap it up, the two types of composite figures are where you're going to be able to separate it into separate rectangular prisms, or you'll see a rectangular prism with a cutout. Now that you know how to do both of them, let's try some samples. All right, number 1, you can see there that you can pretty easily see 2 rectangular prisms right next to each other, right? You can see prism number 1 right there and rectangular prism number 2 right here. Let's figure both of them out and add them together. Okay, so let's do number 1 first. All right, let's put number 1 over here. We've got our first rectangular prism. We want to do length times width times height. Our length is 22 centimeters times the width from front to back. So let's see here. Nothing there, and nothing there. So you might think, I can't figure it out. But let's look at the whole composite figure and see if there's any other width from fully the front to fully the back that we can kind of steal the measurement from. Here's one right here, but again, there is no measurement. But right here, this is all the same, and this does give the measurement of 30 centimeters, okay? So the width is going to be 30 centimeters. All right, and the height, nice. They just gave it to us nice and easy right here, is 14 centimeters. All right, so if we take 22 times 30 times 14, all right? So for this unit, I'm going to let you use your calculator because I'm not so much interested in your ability to do multiplication right now. I'm more interested in your ability to know how to figure out volume. So you are allowed to use a calculator for this. 9,240. What is that? That's centimeters cubed, right? Okay, so now we can't stop there. Sometimes students will forget and just stop there. We have a second prism, rectangular prism over there, right? So we need to figure out length, width, and height for that one also. So let's go over to prism, rectangular prism number 2, and our length is right here, 15 centimeters times the width from front to back. Oh, we already got that right here, which is 30. And the height is 5. If we multiply those together, we get 2,250. Step number 3 is going to be to add both of those together. All right, so if we take 9,240 centimeters cubed plus 2,250 centimeters cubed and we add it together, we get 11,490 centimeters cubed. Again, use your calculator. I don't want you to take the time to do all of the computing. I just want you to know how to figure out volume. All right, let's go on and do number 2 because this one has a cutout. So for a cutout from a rectangular prism, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to find the volume of the whole rectangular prism. Length times width times height of the whole rectangular prism. All right, so what's our length of the whole thing right here? Doesn't give it to me. Is there any other place where I have the whole length? Right here. Ooh, this one's tricky. I can't find anywhere where the whole length is given. But let's look at something. It gives this part is 2 meters. And then the rest down here I can see is 3 meters. So right here, if we add to this length and this length, will we get this whole length? Yes, we will. It just is 2 meters plus 3 more meters means this whole amount is going to be 5 meters. So that's a little bit tricky and something that you're going to remember. When you can't find a length, see if there are 2 other lengths that are going to line up and give you the full length that you're looking for. And in this case, we found them. 2 meters plus 3 meters. Our length is going to be 5 meters. Let's do our width front to back. Right here, they gave it to us. 6 meters times the height. There isn't one here. There isn't one here because it's not a full length. Ooh, look right here. They gave it to us right here. 4 meters is the length of the whole prism. 5 times 6 times 4. Well, 5 times 6 is 30 times 4. 120 meters cubed is the whole prism. But we've got this cutout right here. So we've got to subtract that cutout. Let's figure what the cutout volume is going to be. Length times width times height of the cutout is, let's see, our length of the cutout is right here, 3 meters. The width from front to back is 4 meters. The height from here to here, we don't have, but right here we've got it, is 3 meters. 3 times 4 times 3, so 12 times 3 is going to be 36 meters cubed. So we've got the whole prism volume and the cutout. Remember, we want the whole volume of the prism and we're going to subtract what was cut out of it. So 120 meters cubed minus 36 is going to be 84 meters cubed is going to be the volume of this composite figure. Okay, let's go on to number 3. Number 3, you can see, is a composite figure where you've got 2 rectangular prisms kind of smushed up next to each other. So we're going to do number 1 first, and then we're going to do number 2. So this will be prism number, let's try this again here. This will be prism number 1. This will be prism number 2. All right, so for prism number 1, length times width times height. Where's our length going to be? Anybody find that? Not here, not here, but look at here. It's a 5-foot length. Our width, front to back, they gave it to us. It's 6. And our height, 8 feet. All right, that's pretty quick. 5 times 6 is 30 times 9, 240 feet cubed. Let's find the volume for rectangular prism number 2. All right, here we have this section, and look at this. The only measurement they gave us is that they said it is 4 feet squared. 4 feet squared, what does that mean? 4 feet squared means that it's 4 feet by 4 feet. It's squared, okay? So 4 feet by 4 feet. Both sides it's a square, right? So all these sides are going to be the same. They're going to be the same measurement. So this is 4 feet and this is 4 feet. That's what makes it 4 feet squared. So we've got a length of 4 feet, a width of 4 feet, and a height. They don't give us a height. What are we going to do? No height here, no height here, no height here. Where are we going to find the height? Let's look over and see if there's something that we can steal from the other rectangular prism. We could steal this measurement, but there is none. We could steal this measurement right here is 8 feet. So we found our height. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky here. When you have something squared, it just gives you 4 feet squared. That means it's 4 feet by 4 feet. All right, so now we do this, and we've got 32 times 4. So let's do that. 32 times 4, and we're going to get 128 feet cubed. All right, so our third step is to add both of the prisms together. 240 plus 128, 368 feet cubed is your answer for number 3. All right, and then let's do number 4. We've got, again, you can see 2 rectangular prisms here. You can kind of divide it right down there, and then you've got 2 easy rectangular prisms. Now there is another way you could do it. Some of you may have seen this right here. Okay, you may have wanted to do it that way. So sometimes there's more than 2 ways, and sometimes what you might end up doing is you might do it this way, and you might find, say that you don't have a certain measurement that you need, and you're gonna have to try and cut it the other way. All right, so let's go ahead and just do it this way, just to keep it how we started. Okay, there's our 2 rectangular prisms. Let's see if we have enough measurements to cut it that way. So, number 1, number 2. All right, for rectangular prism number 1, our length is nothing here. We've got 12 yards, but that's the whole thing. Nothing here. Look right here. Here's our measurement. 7 yards length. All right, length, width, height. What's our width, front to back? 5 yards. Height, 2 yards. All right, that one's pretty simple. We've got 10 times 7, 70. Prism number 2, length. We do not have a length here. What are we going to do? Let's clean this up just a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. All right, let's clean this up. Let's take away these things. What I'm trying to find is the length of this prism right here. There is no length here. There is no length here. There is no length here. And there's nothing that is that same length. So now we need to look. We've got a length for the whole thing. So if we have a length for the whole thing, is there a way we can figure out the length of just this? Well, what is the length of this right here? If we know that, we can take the full length, take this away, and we'll end up with this, right? So if you look up here, look at this. It gives the length from here to here, or here to here, or here to here. It would be 7. If this is 7 and the whole thing is 12, what is going to be the length right here? This is 12. This is 7. Let's take that away, and you're left with 5. Okay, so for this number 2 rectangle, the length is going to be 5. All right, that was a little bit complicated. I hope you understood that. Let me show you one more time. We didn't know the length from here to here. We didn't have it. We do have the length from here to here. It's 12 yards. So we want to know what the length is from here to here so that we can subtract it. So if this is 7 and this is 12, if we take the whole length minus this, we get 5, which is this remaining part. That's how we figured out the length, 5. Now we're figuring out the width from front to back. It's not here, it's not here, it's not here. Let's move over. It's not here, but it's right there. Those are all the same. So we're going to steal that 5 yards, and then the height it gives us is 3. All right, so we have 25 times 3 is 75. 75 what? Yards cubed. Oh, we didn't label this one, yards cubed. All right, so third part is to add 75 yards cubed plus 70 yards cubed, and you get 145 yards cubed as your volume for that composite figure. So each of these 4 had some interesting component. Number 1 was pretty easy, just adding 2 rectangular prisms. Number 2, finding out the whole rectangular prism minus the cutout. Number 3, we had to figure out that 4 feet squared, it was the same as saying 4 times 4, so it got 2 measurements out of that. And number 4, we had to do this little thing right here, where in order to figure out a missing length, we had to take the full length minus this length and get what we needed out of it. All right, hopefully you will see all 4 of those kinds of problems on your homework so you can get some practice doing them. All right, this has been a great lesson. Lots to remember. You're going to do great.